Welcome back to the Business Pulse podcast. My name is Candice Jarrett. Today, I'll be speaking with Sergio Yankovenko, a talented pitch deck designer who has completed 400 successful projects with $560 million raised. We'll talk about what makes a winning pitch deck and more right here on episode 10. This is the Business Pulse podcast, where you'll discover strategies, tools, and stories to inspire success through conversations with leading business owners, startup founders, and venture capitalists. Our aim is your success. Presented by XKOVA, a next-generation payment processor to help your business thrive. Visit us at xkova.com. Sergio, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Really nice to be here today.
So I want to ask you a little bit about your background, and then let's jump into some topics that I think people are going to be really excited about today regarding what makes a winning pitch deck and also like mistakes that people make. But first, I want to ask about you. So how long have you been designing pitch decks?
Already 8+ years.
Wow, amazing. Were you a graphic designer before that, or like what was your journey into getting into this industry?
I started like the regular graphic designer, but as I have this business mindset, because I came from entrepreneur's family, so I go to this niche. As one of my clients just asked me help with the pitch deck. It was surprisingly succeed. My idea was proved. So from that, I start to design an actual pitch deck. Not only from design, I need to a bit correct. I not only designer, I mostly like consultant, and I help they build pitch deck from content perspective. So this is key expertise because design is less important in actual startup pitch decks.
Yeah, I completely understand. Although I do want to get as also a designer, in addition to helping guide the content, I want to ask you, how have you seen over the last 8 years design trends change? Because like you can go back and look at, Airbnb's original deck or Uber's original deck and see like how dated those seem. So do you feel that there has been a shift with pitch deck design to have like a modern aesthetic, and what do you think that means?
Right now, the real investment becomes harder and harder because the many startups was failed and investor became mostly picky. So in the current landscape, you need to be mostly well prepared, and this is not some kind of design trends. It may be niche trend because a couple years ago it was everyone said about crypto project. Right now everyone said about AI project, and who knows what will be next.
What do you think is the biggest mistake that startups make with their pitch deck?
Probably unrealistic expectations.
How so? Do you mean like with their projections or with their ask?
With their ask.
Oh, with their ask. So how do you think that a startup can kind of mitigate that mistake?
Be realistic. You need to find the balance between dreamer and stay grounded. Because I met many startup founders who, especially at early stages, without any MVP, asking some unreasonable amount of couple millions to the first round. But this never happened.
So you think that it's important to, in the pitch deck, show that you have traction if you're going to ask for something?
The traction is really good stuff, but this depends. We need to separate which type of startup we right now talk about, because we can early stage startup founder, or it can be some next round like seed, round A, and so on. So if you, for example, go to round A, or something between, for sure you need to have some traction. But if you only at seed round or pre-seed round, traction is not necessarily maybe important, mostly your background.
So you think the team slide is like of equal importance or more important?
The team slide, it's mostly about this is important because you need to show the people behind the startup. As we know, the ideas mostly already invented, but everyone interested in how you make it happen. So you need to have strong team and strong expertise to make this project happen, really. And especially at the beginning, at the pre-seed round, when you haven't any MVP, when you haven't almost anything, maybe just simple feedback, you need to be quite important to show your expertise, your background. For example, your project have expertise in finance. It would be quite strange to investor if you wanted to create some startup in agrotech, for example. You agree?
Yes. So I want to ask you now that we're talking about like all different types of slides, can you give me like what are your most important slides that you feel like for a beginner? If a beginner is sitting down and they're like, I need to make a pitch deck, what are the 8 to 10 slides that are the most important that they must have?
From my perspective, mostly important slide is competitor landscape. You can have direct or indirect competitors, and firstly you need to show why you're better than company who already on the market, because they do almost the same as you, but they already have sales, they already have clients, and why clients choose you instead of them. And to investor, you need to show the realistic performa about your projection and market size, because if we speak from investor language, they less important about your technology, how complicated it is, how good it is. The investor most interested about their money and how they can get them back, and they interested to have 3 5 10x under their investment.
Yes, I agree with that.
So you need to, from my perspective, first two slides, it's about problem solution and maybe project. The next 7 8 slides should be about money. You need to investor, you wanted to ask money, so you need to talk about money.
If a project comes out and just say it is a novel idea and they don't have any direct competitors yet, is there another way that you would recommend illustrating market validation?
It can be not only direct competitors, it can be indirect competitors. For example, this company have one feature what we planning to do. The second company have another feature, but we combine them together. So you can take a look, understand their strength and weakness side, and from this perspective, show the market validation.
That's a great answer. So, how do you combine storytelling and data in a pitch?
It need to understand where we will present this deck. So, for example, if we go to, for example, online call, or we will go to boardroom with investor, it's one type of storytelling. If we go to the stage, it's another type of storytelling. If we send the pitch deck to email, it's third type of storytelling what should be. So firstly, I recommend to my clients, do your homework, understand who you will speak with, because different type of investor wanted to see different type of information.
Absolutely. Like, just high level, how many versions of a deck do you think that someone should have to start?
Initially, enough two version. It's some short one, like 2 pager, when you show on key numbers. When you try to reach out to investor, write an email, and we haven't spoke yet. So you need to make them interested. It can be simple 2 page PDF when you show your problem shortly, your solution shortly, and make investor hungry to more. And second version, it would be a long version, about 10 15 slides, where you will present it personally via online call. Right now it's really popular, or maybe in live, like with investor meeting. So for beginning two version, it's quite enough.
Do you think that there is, well, first I want to say I had never considered the idea of a pitch deck as essentially a sales tool or a marketing tool, in that you create two slides to get them to hook somebody, to get them to then contact you, to then give them the whole thing. Maybe that's something that other people do, but I had never heard of it, and I think it's brilliant. Just two slides to reduce it that much and say this is and they have to be so strong then in order
Uh,
to make that enticing.
if we back to researches, according to data DocSend, regular investors spend 3 minutes 30 seconds per email offer. This is statistics. So you have only 3 minutes to have a hook with investor. If you send them, for example, 30 slides pitch deck, no one will read it.
Yes.
This has never happened because right now the investors overload to different ideas, to different pitch decks, and they mostly, okay, this is so complicated, move to trash. And you need to hook them up to contact with you to ask more.
That's great. That's great feedback. So, what is your process when a client comes to you? And we'll say we have two different clients. Just say you have a client that doesn't have anything prepared, that you need to start from scratch. And then just say you have another client that has a version of, and actually, I saw this in your portfolio where you have like the before and after, and it's so impressive what you do, like how you transform a deck. So I want to take those two. Let's take the first example. The first client comes to you, they have absolutely nothing. What do you do?
The first step, I create the list of questions related to your idea, to your project. This helps me understand how much information you already have, because early stage founders have many information inside of his head, but less on the paper. So I create about 20, 25 different questions and send it like a doc, or we can discuss it in live. This is depends of preference, but mostly I recommend to, okay, here is the file. You can fill it out, take a look at evening, understand, think what you already have. And from that perspective, I understand the gaps, what I need to help fill out. For example, you can have description of your project, but you don't know the competitor landscape. So I can help you make additional research. The second step would be, from this list of questions, we can fill the gaps together and start creating the content and actual storytelling. So I ask, where you wanted to go with this pitch deck? Do you want to startup accelerator, or do you want to angel investor? Maybe it is some family office, maybe some VC fund. It's quite depending. Maybe we do some research about competitors and understand you haven't any privilege. So you need to do the pivot and rethink your before presenting, because as I love to say, you haven't second chance to get first impression. And if we take the second case, if the founder already have first version and able to send me to take a look, I provide the feedback, where is win side and weaknesses in your pitch deck, when we need to improve. All the time when a founder already have something, this is overcrowded pitch deck. This is a lot of details, a lot of content, and a lot of all this stuff what not interesting to potential investor, and so complicated. For example, one of the last project what I worked was, you look at that slide, and before the CEO start explaining you the actual project, you do not understand nothing, because
Mm.
this is so complicated, so many charts, so many so technical details. So if I am like working at the startup landscape, don't understand anything. So do you think the investor understand it? Probably no.
No. So that's, you brought up so many great points. What would your advice be for a very early startup who, has to create financial projections, but they don't have any sales yet.
Don't lie. If you haven't sales yet, you need to find the potential client who planning to buy your project, and instead of financial projection, just get their feedback. So you can create slide with feedback, or okay, if we create the MVP, this company would be our first client, and this would be enough to go to angel investor and raise your first amount.
That's great feedback, because I think a lot of people feel pressure to have that slide in for projections, when they show different revenue streams coming in and what that can eventually do. But I think that's very sound to say, if you get commitments from your first customers, these people want to use our product and this is why. So I think that's great. You had mentioned in the beginning of the interview that the landscape has been getting harder, that it's been getting more crowded. Previously, there was a lot of crypto things trying to get funded. Now there's a lot of AI things trying to get funded. Outside of that, how have you seen the fundraising landscape change over the years?
This is quite light thing. This is changed over year, maybe almost every month.
Really?
Because today this type of, for example, if we take a look just half year back, it was really popular startups who do scribing from the text, from the video, for example, like that. And after that, big company like OpenAI just released this feature, and all this startup already no needed. So important not what you do, mostly important when. So you need to take in a right time.
Also great advice. So kind of going back a little bit to the structure of a deck, how many slides for a presentation day, like, just say you're giving a live presentation in front of investors, how many slides is too many?
When you get live in front of investor or startup, for example, they looked not about what you're showing, they looked what you're saying. So it can be 5 slides, it can be 25 slides with less information, because when you on the stage, focus at you. So you need to well prepare your speech and be so much confident what you say, and your slides on the back, it's only support, because many founders try to put some text, not only a key phrase. And when you present, you need to understand the technical details of this, some screens when your pitch deck will be shown. And mostly if your text too small, no one able to read it. So you need to have, for example, huge script what you will say and less on the slides.
I agree with that. I think I've seen situations where there was just a wall of text and it's too hard to read that when somebody's talking, because you can only focus on one thing or the other. You can only focus on, I'm going to read these few paragraphs, or I'm going to listen to what they have to say. So the visual really needs to support the person speaking. But there's a twist. Right now, I think a lot of people are pitching, as we are right now, just one-on-one on a video call. So when you do a screen share, your picture becomes really small in the bottom corner. So I think that means that the visuals are even more important, because it's going to take up the whole screen.
Yeah, visual important, but you need to understand, not overload your pitch deck with some visual attributes. It should be quite simple, because if you allow me, I can share some funny case.
Yeah.
When I speak with one of the founder, he said, I create my first pitch deck, and it was so well designed, so branded. It was animated here and there. It was perfect pitch deck. And after he presented multiple times, they said, people came to me and say, this is the best pitch deck what I ever seen. How you created? Who designed it? But they never ask about the actual business.
That's really funny. What a
If you
great,
wanted to present your design, the people will ask about your design, but you need to attract to your project, and design should only support your content, not highlight the design first.
that's so smart. Oh, I'm so glad you shared that story. I think that's a valuable lesson for a lot of founders because I think that, there's a lot of pressure to feel like you want it to look the best. However, you're right, if it's too flashy, people will be like amazed by the razzle dazzle, and they won't care about the actual company, which is the thing you want them to care about. That's a great story. I'm definitely going to share that with people in the future and credit you with it. Um, amazing. So, what do you think? Like from your personal like experience, what is your favorite type of company to make a pitch deck for? Like, do you have an industry that you particularly like?
Maybe I try to work with many type of industries, but right now it's some kind of SaaS product application and so on. And I have principally don't work with couple of industries like gambling, like other gaming, because this is I'm not feel so confident with it. This is mostly tech founders, couple project in medtech, and also physical products. I create a couple pitch deck for real physical products.
So, I guess what is your top tip for founders preparing for their first investor meeting?
Be realistic with your ask. So you need to clearly understand how much money you need and how you will allocate this money, and be fair with you and with your investor. This is mostly important tip, and this is so um, uh, to think from investor side.
I do think it's important to consider your investor. I think it's important to consider your audience always. Like, I think when you're creating a product as a tech founder, you shouldn't just think about the product. You should think about the product, how the product is helping somebody. Like, always think about the customer, not the thing.
Yeah, correct. About the customer. And in our case, you need to think about the investor. You need to put some ideas to exit strategy. So, do you think your company will grow, or you planning to buy it, so resell it, or how the investor can get their money? Because this is quite important. This just can be only couple sentences, but to investor, it's quite important what you thought about them, not only about your product, but thought about the investor.
That's great. So, kind of shifting gears a little bit here, I want to talk about the role of AI in pitch decks. Like, how do you feel AI is changing pitch decks, and for the better or for the worse?
Right now, the many startup founders so expect from AI do everything, but AI it's not a magic button. They not create me pitch deck and they do everything. For example, mostly mistake right now when early stage founders go to, for example, OpenAI and okay, create me market size, and AI actually created, but mostly it is totally fail, because the investor, okay, where is base of your idea? Why do you think these markets have billion potential? And founder, stop. I haven't this data. I haven't any research. The AI said me that. So
Yeah.
and this some kind of big red flag to investor. Okay, this is founder not serious with their research. So you need to groundbreaking data, you need to base at the researches, you need to explain to investor, uh, you take this data.
So I had actually been considering, I haven't seen it done, though I'm sure it probably has been, having a slide at the end that lists all your sources. Like if you gave a certain figure of data for market size, to literally have like a link where the investor could go and see where you got your research. Do you think that would be valuable, or do you think that's overkill?
Yeah, you can. I always do that.
Oh, you
I try
do?
to put, yeah, I try to put only if it's one source or if it's multiple source, I create separate slide on the appendix section
Hmm.
where the investor need to able to go to the link and read article, understand where you take this metrics.
I do think that's important, especially for what you said for credibility, because I think that when you are a founder and you're going to pitch your product, you need to position yourself as an expert. And if you're only relying on a 2 second chat GPT question and answer, it doesn't really give you the kind of background knowledge. You only know that one piece of data, but you need to really understand it in order to be able to communicate that you're the right person. So I think it's great advice.
to to make the homework like a bonus, I give my client the PDF with 300 questions and answers what investor can ask, because this is so important. Be maximum prepared. You have only one shot to it.
Mhm. So wait, you give your clients a list of 300 questions?
Yeah, I
That's
give the
amazing.
bon I create not only pitch deck after, okay, if founder said me, I go to the startup competition or I go to the boardroom with investor, what they able to ask me, for example, and okay, here is the list of question about ROI, about all this metrics, about this stuff, where you take it, and all this. You able to just read it, and then you so well prepared when mostly 90% of other founders.
Wow, that is a competitive edge for sure. And I think, as you mentioned before, in an industry that is now increasingly crowded and increasingly competitive, founders need every advantage that they can get.
Yeah, and this is so important to give some extra. I try to working with clients. I try to do extra work, not only because my expertise not only make the simple pitch deck and through it to you, and okay, I'm interested in your success, especially when I can put your pitch deck to the portfolio and say, this guy raised hundreds of millions.
Yes, I see that. It's amazing. Yeah, you've had a bunch of pitch decks that have just knocked it out of the park. And I mean, all your pitch decks that I've seen in your portfolio are absolutely beautiful and they just seem amazing. So if somebody wants to contact you, like just say a tech founder wants to contact you to maybe work with you, what is the best way for them to reach you?
The best way is just by my name at LinkedIn, or they can find some links on the description somewhere below it, probably.
Mhm. Yes. I will put a link to your LinkedIn, and also so LinkedIn is the way that you prefer to be contacted, and I'll also put your portfolio link.
Yeah. Also, I have the direct link to my Calendly where they able to book the call with me directly. If they want, better to have just 10 minutes call. The founder can explain the idea and we understand, do we prefer to work together or not.
Yes. Amazing. So I want to, before we wrap it up, I want to say you also have a YouTube channel. So can you tell the audience what type of content you talk about on your YouTube channel?
I put to the YouTube channel some many advices how to build the pitch decks, and this is most like educational video. So if you haven't any budget to create the pitch deck, you're able to go to my YouTube channel, view the video, and this is significantly help you be prepared.
Wonderful. Well, Sergio, thank you so much for joining me today. Do you have any parting words that you want to leave the audience with?
I think you need to find balance, be balanced, and never lie.
Sounds great. All right. Thank you so much, Sergio. Appreciate your time today and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you to having me. Bye.